Today I played the fastest classical game I've played in my life, I think. It was literally only 19 moves. Now, me being the thinker that I am, this still took 2 hours, but it was an extremely short game. Now, today I was playing round number 4 of Reykjavik Open, the tournament that I'm playing right now in Iceland. And I was facing a Norwegian 1800 rated player called Asmund Gilson. Now, I was a little bit nervous coming into this game because yesterday I'd played a really bad game, so I felt like my self-confidence before the game wasn't super high. So I was definitely a little bit nervous, but at least today I got 10 hours of sleep. I got the best sleep of my life last night. So I did have a lot of energy. So I sat down by the board, I shook hands with my opponent. He actually wished me good luck in Norwegian. He said lycka till, which is the same word in Swedish. And I said detsamma, which means you too, but I wasn't really wishing him good luck. I'm sorry. I mean, do you really ever wish your opponent good luck in chess? Like, I don't know. I feel like you should say good game, but I know good luck is the standard. So he was very nice. He was really nice. So I started with the move d4, as always, and he played d5. I went c4, queen's gambit, and he went c6, defending the pawn. I developed my knight, he developed his, and I got my other knight out. These moves are very standard theory, very simple, and we were both just blitzing these out. So e6, now I decided to go e3 just to keep this pawn protected, so that if he takes, I can take back. He went knight d7, bishop d3, just develop my bishop, takes, b5, threatening the bishop, and then I went back. And now, I actually have a lot of things that I play. Sometimes I castle here, sometimes I play e4, but I don't really like the positions that I get after e4 and b4 a lot of times. So I decided actually to play against my opponent's plan, which is to go a6 and c5. I knew this was exactly what he wanted to do, so I wanted to be very annoying. And the reason you want to do this is because actually black gets a really nice center after c5. This bishop gets developed, and black just gets a lot of really good pieces after this, so I don't really sometimes like playing against this setup. So I decided to be very annoying, and I played a3. What is the idea of this? Well, the idea is one, that I'm preventing b4, but the other idea is actually that after he goes a6, I wanted to go b4 to prevent the move c5, and now I wanted to play against it. Now let me tell you, this game is going to finish in 8 moves, which is just, I mean, I feel like I was a speedrunner today. I feel like I was just speeding this up, but you're gonna see what it is that happened because it is actually going to shock you. I promise you that. You have no idea what happened. Like it's gonna shock you when you know. So he played a5 to play against this pawn, which I was expecting. And here at first I thought that I was gonna play rook b1, but I didn't like the idea of getting my rook out of the a file. So actually, I was thinking, you know, I don't wanna go queen b3 because then he just goes takes, and my rook is hanging. So I decided actually to develop this bishop and go bishop d2. The idea of this is that after takes and takes, bishop takes is not possible due to knight takes b5, and now if he takes on d2, I have knight d6 check, and after the king moves, I take this bishop, and I am winning material pretty much, or at least he's gonna get a terrible position. So instead, in this position, he castled. Now, after castles, he's threatening to take this pawn because there's not this check anymore, so I went queen b3 to defend it. But I was a little bit worried here because I was scared of him playing this e5 push. And the reason I was scared of it was because after e5, there's times where he might be threatening e4. And also, this bishop has chances of becoming very strong. So I really just didn't want him to play e5 at some point. I was kind of scared of it. Now here, instead of queen b3, I think the most accurate move would have been to go rook takes a8. So that after queen takes a8, this queen gets a bit off the game. And now after queen b3, he doesn't have queen e7 anymore. But the reason I didn't do this was because I was scared of queen a7 and then him doubling up the rooks and then somehow getting some activity on the a file. So I was a little bit worried about this. So I played queen b3 immediately, but I kind of regretted my decision. So right now he's threatening to take my b4 pawn, but he's also threatening to go e5. So here I spent quite a lot of time thinking. I think I spent like 20 minutes or something thinking about what to do. And I ended up going for this move e4, which was defending this pawn in the sense that if bishop takes pawn, I thought this was really pretty. I have e5 threatening the knight, And now if the knight moves to d5, I have knight takes knight, and then after pawn takes, this is hanging. And if the knight moves anywhere else, I have the exact same move, knight d5, and I think this is a beautiful tactic. And now he cannot move the queen somewhere to defend this bishop. When he moves the queen, I will take this, and if he takes here, I actually take the bishop and I win the rook as well. So I thought that was a beautiful tactic that I had spotted, and that was the idea of going e4. So the only response that he could do to prevent me from pushing e5, which he must prevent, is to go e5 himself. So he played e5, and this is a really strong move. And once again, it was here that I spent 20 minutes. I spent like 20 minutes thinking, because I had so many ideas running through my head. I was thinking, what happens if takes? What happens if I go d5? d5 I didn't like at all. After c takes d5, this is hanging. What happens if I defend bishop e3? Well, then my bishop is not defending this anymore. So I was thinking about all of these ideas, but ultimately I realized that I wanted to keep my knight on f3 so that after takes, I didn't have to take back, because then there were instances where maybe bishop takes h2 might work, or where even queen e5 might work, threatening my knight and threatening checkmate. So I decided that I wanted to take back this pawn with my knight. And therefore, I played knight e2. And this is actually the best move in the position, and I'm really proud that I found it. And my opponent decided to play pawn takes d4, which was the move that I was expecting. Now, I could have taken back here immediately, but I was a little bit worried that after this, there was the move rook takes a1, and after rook takes a1, that he had knight e5. And this is actually his best line, and I thought here, maybe I should play rook e1, to keep everything defended, because I cannot go knight takes knight, as after queen takes e5, he's threatening my knight and he's threatening to take on h2. And if I go knight f3 to defend, my rook is hanging. So I didn't like the fact that in a lot of these lines, my rook on a1 was hanging. So I ended up going rook takes a8 here before capturing back the pawn. So takes and takes, and knight takes d4. Now here, I thought that I was defending this pawn, because I thought that if he takes this pawn, I have knight f5 winning a piece. That was my idea. Sorry, I thought that he was going to play g6, and then I was going to go something like rook c1, but he ended up not doing any of that. Instead, what he did in this position was that he actually just decided to play knight takes e4. And when he played this move, I was shocked, because in my brain, I thought that this would just simply be losing for him. I thought knight f5, and he's losing. But then it hit me. Knight f5 doesn't win, because he actually has this move, queen e6. And after queen e6, if I take and he takes, he's threatening my knight. So even though I can take his knight, this would just be equal material. So it hit me that in this position, the knight f5 doesn't win. And so I started thinking, oh no, like what have I done? Have I gone into like a drawn endgame? So I was calculating, okay, maybe I can go bishop takes knight, queen takes bishop, queen takes pawn, and then just go knight g5 check. But I thought that here actually he would be slightly better, because I don't have the bishop pair anymore, and he does have the bishop pair. So in this position, I thought, okay, what should I do? And I ended up actually going for the move knight f5 anyways. Now here, I thought he was going to play queen e6 immediately, because I thought, okay, any other move loses. I'm threatening the queen, I'm threatening the bishop, and I'm threatening this knight. So if the queen, for instance, moves to, let's say, f6, then I just simply take the knight. If the queen moves to e8, then I simply take the knight first, and then I take the bishop. So here, I am actually winning a piece no matter what. So the only move that he has is queen e6. But he spent like 5 minutes here, and he didn't make a move. And I thought, okay, why is he not making a move? He must go queen e6. Like, this is a move you play in an instant. He must play queen e6. But he kept on kind of shaking his head a little bit, and he didn't play a move. And then, after thinking for like 6 minutes, he says, okay, stops the clock, and puts his hand out, which means that he resigns. Now this to me was shocking, because I knew that this was a draw, or not a draw, but I knew that this was an equal position after queen e6. So I had seen this whole line, and I was actually in my brain calculating this line, like, okay, what happens if knight f6? I was looking at knight g5. I thought this could be really interesting, threatening some checks and threatening maybe a few things here. But he just resigned, and I literally couldn't believe it when it happened. Like, I think I took like a little jump or something when it happened. So I was actually really lucky that my opponent resigned there after 19 moves. Obviously, this is something that can happen. He just simply didn't see queen e6, which if you don't see queen e6, then it's normal that you resigned. So he just thought that he had blundered and that he was losing a piece. He just missed this move. So this is something that can happen at any level. I have done the same. I have resigned positions that I wasn't losing. My mom has done the same. Once she thought that it was a checkmate in 2 for her opponent and she resigned, but it was just a draw. So, you know, it happens at all levels, and it's just part of chess sometimes. But I think the best part of all of this is my mom's reaction.
I believe this position is easier to play for black than for white. And has her opponent played? No, he's still thinking. He's down to 80 minutes, but he looks quite decisive. And you know what he did? Did he resign? Did he resign? I don't know. Did he resign? Could it be that he resigned? Let's see. We have to wait to see. We have to wait and see. Could he resign? He resigned. He resigned. No, Anna doesn't offer a draw. I don't know the rules here. There are lots of tournaments where you are not allowed to offer draw before 30 moves. So I think he resigned. He didn't see queen e6. Oh, this was actually very, very shocking. And I can see how Anna is shocked.
So, anyways, this was an extremely lucky game for me, and big props to my opponent as well. He was so nice. We talked a bit after the game. It would be normal in a situation like that to be very upset with yourself for resigning in an equal position, but he was just so nice, and we talked about the game a bit, and it was great. So he also said that he's a fan of the channel. So, you know, big shout out to my opponent, big shout out to Asmund, and thank you so much, Asmund, for the game, and thank you to all of you for watching this recap. I am live streaming all my games every day on both this channel on YouTube and on my Twitch, so, you know, check them out. I'm going to be having 2 rounds being played tomorrow, and it's going to start early, so there's actually a Blitz tournament going on today, but I'm not going to play it. Instead, I'm going to be going back to the hotel and get lots of sleep to be ready for my games tomorrow. I'm on 2 out of 4, and I want to make this tournament as good as it possibly can be. So, wish me good luck for round 5 tomorrow. Thank you so much. I'll see you very soon.